This computer. Ta-da! Yay! Hello, everybody. So exciting to have Karen back again. We had such a great call. I had so much fun on our call last time. And then it so happens that there was a thread going on like the grid around invitations and connecting and how to write to people and stuff. And I know Laura, who's not with us at the moment, but sort of sparked some questions and back and forth with Karen, who's just started just downloading the ins and outs and actual specifics on how to this stuff from all of her, I forgot how you described it, something as stewardship and donor relationship creating, something like that.
Donor development and stewardship.
There you go. Excellent. And then in there, you were like, oh, I feel inspired to write some kind of thing on the art and science of connection, which is like, yes, give it to us. We want to know. And you hear all over the place, connect, right? Like connect, invite, create, post, right? With all this prosperous coach stuff. And it's just like, write an email and talk to the people. We're like, well, how do you do that? Right? It is easy. We all know how to write an email to friends. We all know how to write an email to maybe someone who we know kind of laterally somehow, we know how to put a post out on Facebook. Does anybody know anyone who XYZ, we don't kind of know how to do that, right? However, there's another level of engagement that professionals are adept at, right? And eventually, hopefully, at ease at. And there really isn't, maybe there are, but not around in my universe. Are there any actual helpful places to go? Well, they'll say, this is how you write an email. And I was, it's really 2 days ago, I wrote an email to somebody who had agreed to connect me to some high level space people, because I'm putting together a space event. So like the CEO of Virgin Galactic and like Anusha Ansari, I don't know if you know who she is, from X Prize, and all sorts of people. And I was like, I sat on it for 2 weeks because I didn't know how to write this email. She's like, yeah, write me some stuff about what the thing is and I could forward it. And I literally did not. I just procrastinated, non-confronted for 2 weeks. And then finally I wrote a thing and got like 3 people to help me and sent it to her and said, what do you think of this? And then she writes very nicely. She writes back to me. And she goes, well, what? Because she used to work at X Prize too. She's like, well, Peter Diamandis, what he taught me about how to email busy, successful people, right? Write what you want in the first line, make it short and blah, 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 and put all the filler stuff at the end and some other stuff that she said on how to do it, draft it to me so that I could then forward it to, etc. And then I looked through the thread right now, just kind of remembering what you and Laura were talking about, and you were saying exactly the same thing. This is how to compose an email to somebody to help them introduce you to somebody else, right? So would you spend an hour with us telling us how to do this specifically so that we don't fall flats on our faces and we have a little sense of have some elegance.
Maybe we'll spend an hour doing some other things too, but I thank you for sharing that story because it really brings up sort of the how to. Because I think this is something I've shared before, and that is like, I actually don't know my how-tos until people ask questions. Kind of, with nearly 20 years, I was in sales before I was in nonprofit. And with all of that, it's sort of like a second nature kind of thing to create connection. So I don't really think about it. So your story is really helpful to help me frame right away. Because I right away thought, oh, Christina, here's how you write that email. So, Christina, here's how you write that email.
Do you want to take us on? Let's do the journey on that thread. It was really cool.
But I don't have the thread.
I got it.
Okay, cool. Help me out.
So on the thread, it was here's my game, as per you. I Google the hell out of local business news. who's moving up, people to new positions, company news about growth, forecast for growth. I check out photos from events, awards, dinners. Where do you do that? Where do you find these events, award dinner photos? See who went, what was said about them. I look at lists of top growth performers in various industries. Where do you find those lists? I look at video interviews of featured innovators or featured superstar business people. I look into them, what I hear them not saying. That's interesting. What I know about the loneliness of leadership. And when I find my people, I find who I know with connections to that company, person, organization. How do you find who know those people? I mean, LinkedIn is an obvious thing, but what else? And this begins the magic of a curated, cultivated network. So that was the first piece. And then the second piece of wisdom you dropped on us, people were like, well, then how do you write to that person who you found in the newspaper, right? And you were like, no. How do you write to the connector of the person I found in the newspaper, right? So you corrected that. And you wrote, I write an intro for my connector, something they can simply personalize and send to the person of interest. It's short, shows the credibility of our relationship, and ends with intrigue. You two have to meet. I'm included in that email, and the connector signs off with, Karen will take it from here. They do. First via email that ends with, I'll be in touch, and then a call. So like that, I see you staying in leadership there and setting up the next steps. And then you said you're getting excited to talk about the art.
Yeah. Well, my work here is done. That's how I do it.
That's how you do
it. Good night. Okay. So let's talk about the first part of that. And that is essentially the philosophy of Google that shit. Like, get into it. I look for a psychographic, like a person who's like creating something or doing something new or changing jobs. How do I do that? I go into, so like in Cleveland, we have something called Crane's Cleveland Business. It's in a lot of cities. And it's like rising stars and job changes, and so-and-so is a CEO, and also lists like top paid CEOs in the county. You can, by the way, Google all of that. You don't need an online or print magazine to find any of that. I also, this might be really ancient now that I think about it, but I also set up Google Alerts. Does anybody use Google Alerts? Right. Okay. So cool. So so I have like my buzzwords of like leadership, CEO, transition, and I get a lot of weird things with transition, by the way. But so the news comes to me, and so that makes it really easy. And then I'm like, is that somebody I'm interested in? Is it not? Mm-hmm. Where do I take that? Yeah. However, with that said, there's like a way of being that like definitely I'm called to get real curious about. Okay. And those people are, it could be that someone is new to town taking over a company. Some kind of like transition-y stuff, and we all know how that is around change, responsibility, forming a team, building trust, all of that. There's so much content available to us. It could be, so I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, so with that, so for example, it's all over the news, right? Like, who is it? Amazon, Google, I don't remember. Who's starting a whole new thing in New York? Taking over.
Amazon,
right? Yeah. So that's an opportunity, right? That's a lot of people in transition.
Yeah. There are so many people who are leaving, let's say, Seattle, moving to the New York location of Google.
Yep.
They're all like, they all need help. Now, granted, some of them may not be your people or your type of people, but some of them may be. So like, there's a way to find out who's in leadership at Google, whether you start following Google on Twitter, whether you dig deep somehow into Google, you'll start seeing people appear, like the regional manager or the regional distribution head or the whatever they call that person. Like, look, your people are there. They're like right in front of you.
That's good to remember, because it feels like they're behind 10 pieces of black glass.
Yeah, and they're not. They're like right in front of you. It's just looking through that lens of connection, development, and remembering that thing. And that thing is, it is likely that most people are not going to be authentic with this person. And that's the business we are in. We are in the business of serving, right?
Yep.
So if we hold back, right, we're basically robbing the universe of that opportunity. And can't live with that, can we? Okay. So, you'll start to see, or you'll look at, I'm guessing, I'm just thinking of my own community, which is very philanthropic. Cleveland is like a nonprofit center with huge strides of philanthropy, like it's like a proving ground. So there are lots of galas and things like that.
Okay.
So there are actually sections of the paper of like upcoming events. And I'm like, I wonder who's going to go to something like that. Okay. Clearly they're interested, they're mission-based, right? They're mission-centered. And I like those kind of people, right? There's a spirit of generosity in them. And then I think like, hey, how can I go to that thing? So I'm going to use one example, and this is not about philanthropy at all. This is about like courage and faith, I think. That is, so this is when I was probably like a coach for maybe 3 months. And granted, remember, I have a long history of working with high net worth people in fundraising and philanthropy. So like, it's not like a scary thing for me.
Yeah.
But I get that it can be. And I opened the Wall Street Journal and I saw this ad for Wall Street Journal middle market companies meeting in Washington, D.C. I didn't know what a middle market company was, but I thought, it was a one-day thing. And I thought, whatever that is, I got to go to it. Mm-hmm. Which is like, for me, either a flight or an 8-hour or a 6-hour drive. I don't know what this thing is, but it sounds like something I need to be at because I know those people need me. So I wrote to the RSVP email address, and at the Wall Street Journal, and I said, hey, I'd like to come to this thing. And I got an email back like, oh, are you a C-level somebody with a middle market company? And I said, why no, I'm not. However, I know that C-level somebodies at middle market companies need me. And the guy wrote me back and said, for what? I said, for
wait. You just left it at need me. So you left it on curiosity.
Done. Need me. Yes, right? So there's the intrigue. How are you doing tonight? Yeah. Okay. Is it too noisy over here?
Keep going.
Yeah, 1 second. Okay, it's clearing out.
Take care.
Good knitting. I like what you're making. Okay, so I left it at that, right? They need me. So he writes me back, for what? Like, why do they need you? And I said, they need me because they're lonely, they're suffering, and this is what I do. What I do is help amazing people be even more amazing. I'm a leadership and executive coach, blah, 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 my little pitch. And he wrote back and said, okay, come. Okay, this was like 3 days before the event. So I got in my car and I drove, and I showed up at this thing. And there was like an open thing for breakfast, like you go to high top tables, and like the first person I met he was like his name I think is McNamara. He was I forgot what it's called, the top general, like in an administration. What is that called?
Like a 4-star general?
Yeah, but there's a thing like, I forgot what that's called in the United States. Like whoever is the head of the military, essentially.
Got it. Yeah.
President.
Yeah.
I forgot what that person is called. that guy is the first person I met, and we had breakfast together.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So then I was with all these cool people, had all sorts of stories about like, I'm not enough. Why am I here? I don't belong here. And then I was like, okay, let it go. Let it go. I listened to incredible speeches, and I talked to people in between sessions. And at the end of the day, basically here I was feeling like I don't belong. And at the end of the day, I was talking to a group of like 11 people, and somebody said, I got to tell you something. You are the most interesting person in this room. And I was like, yeah. Score one for like navigating. And now, okay, we all know we want to be the most interested person in the room. Right. But I wasn't like them.
Right.
And so
which makes you actually stand out in a good way.
I actually stood out in a good way. And I got my third client from that experience. And it was a guy who was sitting next to me the entire time, did not say a word until the very end. And he was the director of communications of the White House at the beginning of the Clinton era.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Cool. Great. And that's just because you opened up the Wall Street Journal and it froze. Come back. Oh, lost Karen.
With these dudes. And not very many women, by the way. It was like, go to the places where your people are. That's the key with that one. Go to the places where your people are. Yeah. So, did you want to ask me something, Christina?
How did you invite him to a conversation?
Wait, we were kind of frozen for a sec. What?
How did you invite him to a conversation? So he sat beside you, didn't say a word the whole time.
Right. Okay. Until the end, we started talking. And he said, tell me about what you do. And he told me his story. And it sounded like a book that needed to be written. Mm-hmm. And I said, it sounds like a book that needs to be written. Mm-hmm. And he said, it is a book that needs to be written. And I said, well, what are you waiting for? And he told me all these things. And I said, oh, I see. So you're going to go to your grave with your story never been told. Like, that's a really cool story, bro. But like that, the world is emptier because you're not sharing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh man, what would you do? Like, how could you support me? It turns out, I mean, initially it was kind of a clusterfuck, to be honest with you. He thought I was going to be a book coach. So it was sort of not a great conversation. He also wanted me to hold him accountable, and he had all these, how will I get an ROI? It was really kind of crazy, but we turned it around to ways of being. So it really was, I challenged him. Let's go back to this for a second. I challenged him to write a page a day in his book. And he's like, no, like, we need to talk about how I can really get this done. So I had a coaching session with him, and how I did that, by the way, how I actually had the session, when we walked out of there, it was like he was interested, and so I sent him an email. And now I remember this. My email was kind of like a story about a guy I met at a middle market event in Washington, D.C.
Nice.
Who wrote a book. And so it was like using his language. Mm-hmm. And for like 2 weeks, he did not write me back. And it was I probably sent another email and possibly even another. And then he wrote me back and he's like, okay, I get it. Let's have a conversation. That led to some all sorts of different pathways. Ultimately, we cleaned it up and we were fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two things. One, as you were describing that, I noticed similarity to something that you did in the last call. So what I'm learning about you and your process, and something that seems to be very effective for you, is you challenge them on the spot.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're not scared when you're meeting. You're not like, I'm going to fluff you up and make you feel good about yourself. Right? There's
no, I generally don't.
But then there's sort of like, what are you waiting for? That's an interesting, like it's sarcastic almost. Like there's a way that you're kind of picking at them in a way, right?
Right.
That nobody ever does, which that makes you the most interesting person in the room, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm seeing the stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd be stuck if I didn't say the stuff, right? Like if I see, like I can see that thing that's in the way of them and everything they want, right?
Yep.
So I can't not say the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I had your problem. We can develop it. Okay, and the second one is, I'd like some coaching, Karen.
Yeah.
From my own situation. So this is like your life. So for everyone who's watching here live, and then for everyone who's been in Light the Grid for 4 years, right? And has me on some kind of pedestal, like I know what I'm doing, right? It's always learning.
Always.
Right. So here's a learning from an experience. So I have this comes from where you said he didn't write back for 2 weeks. Okay. And I know through my coaching, my own personal coaching with Rich and Steve Chandler and all the people, right, in business learning, how to do the stuff, when I don't get a thing back, I freak out. Oh no, I wrote this and I asked for this and they didn't write back and I fucked it up and what do I do now? And blah, blah, blah. And I remember Rich saying to me, he's like, Christina, do you know what it means when someone doesn't write you back? And I was like, I don't know, what does it mean? And he goes, nothing. Doesn't mean anything. Right? Like there's just no way you can know, right? All the projections that you're putting on why you have not yet received an email mostly are wrong, right? There's just 200,000 possibilities, one of which is correct, maybe, right? So don't act out of that anxiety, because if you do, you come across as needy. You have to be really careful in that spot because you're emotionally triggered about it until you realize how not to be, right? You don't want to just do a role reversal with that in and start pulling, At the same time, there's this thing where it's a saying, it's like the fortune's in the follow-up or something like that, where we send a thing, we don't get a reply, we figure they're not interested, and then we just don't ever anything. And and you said you went back 2-3 times, right? Okay, so I want to hear how you went back 2-3 times there. So what was your follow-up to that? Also, my own personal situation right now. So I had a call 2 days ago on Tuesday with a VC in Silicon Valley who was referred to me for my high-end $150,000, the experience thing, which is like the movie, The Game, blah, 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 right? So word of mouth is going around. People are really excited about it. And I've already, I'm having conversations, making proposals. The first one hasn't hit yet. It's just a matter of time. And this was somebody who we connected. Someone introduced us around Nexus stuff at the end of that. And it was only a half-hour call. At the end of that half-hour call, was like, oh, and this person thinks you might be interested in this other thing that I do too, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, yeah, I love that you told me about that. I totally want to know. So we scheduled another half-hour call because he's a busy person, right? I can't, which we had on Tuesday. Each of these schedulings of these conversations, he had me do through his assistant. His assistant, when I wrote, great, Prashant and I said for me to write to you to whatever, schedule us, right? She's like, great. She replied within 2 hours, 3 hours max with times and very professional, right? Second time we did it. Great. Need to schedule a call with Prashant, blah, blah, blah. Half an hour. These are all half-hour slots. Great. 3 hour response time. Set it up. It was like, I get the pattern now with this person. On our 30-minute call on Tuesday, which was really good, he finally started opening up. He started asking me, how does this work, etc. It's like, well, we need to have another call and it needs to be longer, right? We can't to kind of work this an hour, 2 hours. He said 2 hours is like kind of impossible, next to impossible, but an hour can sort of work, but it seems like a big ask, but he said yes to that, right? So then I wrote to her right after that call. We need to schedule a call. Can you let me know what works for an hour and 2 hours, etc. It's been 2 days, right? And given the pattern that I saw, it's like, oh shit, oh no, he told her behind the scenes that he's not interested, right? And then there's another part of me that's like, nope, it doesn't mean anything. She's got to figure out an hour or 2 hours or something that's different now in his calendar. Like, they got to work that out, and she'll get back to me at some point, right? So now my inner process is, don't freak the fuck out, don't write anything needy, but also, just like you did, you followed up twice in 2 weeks, right? What is the appropriate amount of time to wait? And then when I make that contact again, what do I say? Just following up on, is that a powerful way to do it? Like, how do I stay in leadership while I'm still being the one that's kind of in the position of wanting something?
Well, there's so much there.
Uh-huh.
And let's start with the last question first.
Okay.
How do I stay in leadership while wanting something?
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that applies to so many scenarios, right?
Right. Do you know what you want? What is it? Like, when you say you want something, like in this case, what is it that you want?
The next call on the calendar. I want an hour of his time to keep exploring.
You want it scheduled?
Scheduled, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, hang on. I'm trying to mute when there's like banging and whirring. Okay. So that's the thing you want. And as you know, this guy is like a half hour, that's his thing.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you stay in leadership? I don't know that I have, here's how I stay in leadership, if that's helpful. Okay. I look at what I know, right? Why does he want to work with you and play your game? Because of what is in the way of him and everything he wants, right?
Yep.
Everything else is going to come first. There's an opportunity now. If there's an opportunity for you to like circle back to him and to her, I believe.
Okay.
To say something to the effect of something around your conversations and everything else that gets in the way of what you want. And, I'm here. I'd love to connect when the time is right, when you're ready, whatever that line is. I'm here. I'm over here holding the space for you. And that doesn't mean the space of holding a time in my calendar. I'm over here holding the space for you and your dreams. Mm-hmm. Or something, whatever the thing is. And can you hear me with that grinding thing going?
Yep.
Okay. And when you're ready, let's put something on the calendar. Mm-hmm. Best days for me are Tuesdays and Thursdays. I don't know, like something that is like sort of not needy and factual.
Okay, so that would be just to him, not to her.
That would be to both of them.
See, I don't know that I'd feel comfortable talking about his personal stuff to somebody that wasn't in the conversation.
Yeah, I don't think that it would be personal stuff.
Okay.
You could leave it on the level of what.
Like, I don't even know that she knows that I'm a coach.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Separate emails.
Yeah.
Separate emails.
Sweet. And would you send her one first to just be like, hey?
Yeah, I don't think that matters. I don't think that part matters. I would send it to both, like, separately, but each of them gets an email.
Okay.
Like, I haven't heard back. Just so you know, and actually that's, for both of them. I haven't heard back. So with him, it's more personal.
Right.
I'm over here supporting you with your dreams. And with her, it's haven't heard back. Let's get it moving on.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, 1 hour is fine. 2 hours scared him. I think that's right too.
Yeah.
How long would you wait before sending that?
Yeah. So when was the last?
Dating.
What was that?
This is like dating.
Yeah, right.
How long do you wait after the date to send the text?
Yeah. When did you talk to him?
Tuesday noon.
Tomorrow.
Friday. Okay, so 3 days.
Yeah, because you're like setting up your week, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, there's a door.
Okay.
Yeah, you're setting up your week. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so sweet. That's what I was gonna think leave it till Monday, but Friday's fine.
Friday's good.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't really have a rhyme or reason for that other than it's reasonable. And people there's another option. I'm a real lover of Sunday nights. I send all sorts of stuff on Sunday nights.
Why?
Because I know a lot of the people I work with use Sunday nights to like kind of prepare for the next day and clean out any of their BS that's in their email.
Okay.
And so they're just going to get through it. If they can answer something quickly, they're just going to do it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I get a lot of action on Sunday night, early Monday morning.
Cool. Okay,
yeah,
good.
Send it Sunday night connections. Yeah.
Noted. Okay.
Yes.
So you wait. Okay. So back to your examples. So we went through how to find people that are doing interesting things.
Yeah.
The up and coming, etc. And then specifically around transitions.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, just transition we know that people in transition generally need support. I mean, who doesn't need support, right? But that's just a thing if you're going to grab onto something.
Okay.
There it's promotion. It doesn't have to be. No, it could be somebody got an award.
Okay.
Right. So like I look for stuff like that. People who are being honored.
Okay, good.
For some reason or another.
Right.
The thing about I read every article. I look at who they're pictured with, right? Because all of that gives me information of how do they behave, how do they belong, which I have this whole weird system that I create in my head of how I'm going to have a conversation with them, and I prepare that even when I'm reading an article. What question do I want to know? What's coming up for me? Where's my curiosity around where their challenge or emptiness is, or something like that?
So you get a sense of that, right? Partly we're assuming. Right? Often we're right.
Totally right. Yeah, totally.
But you find that person's email and send them a thing. It's like, hey, loneliness of leadership person, congrats on your award, right? You're looking for who is it that connects you to that person to make the
right.
Because they'll much more likely listen to that anyway, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. So I have, I will say, I've built a really strong network of influencers. That's that was sort of the world I was in.
Yeah.
And I have lots of connections. And that's what I think of influencers. Even I suppose if I were to do it all over again and I didn't know, and I moved and I didn't know who I know, I guess that would be my key attribute, that they have some amount of currency in terms of their own network.
Great.
Right. Currency.
Okay, let's say you moved to Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't know the scene there. You're a brand new face.
Right.
What would be some of the first things you would do to build up?
That's a great question. I think I would do the same thing. I would either Google the hell out of social pages. If they had print newspapers or business papers or galas, I would do the same thing. I don't think it would be any different.
Okay.
Yeah. And then how would I make my first connection if I didn't have a network? I would just go to where the people were and start making friends.
Start making friends.
Yeah.
Great. So how much of your vibe is I'm here as a business professional with a thing for you versus let's be buddies for 3 months before business even ever comes up?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think, okay, this might sound really weird. Hold on, little door closing. Hang on. Okay. I think I might be the same person in every room I'm in.
Okay.
I think I might be. Like, I don't really, yeah, I think I am. Like, I don't know that there's like Coachy Karen and like, let's be friends Karen. I think it's all like generosity and service just might be the value. Mm-hmm. Well, in connection. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. So I would start to, yeah, I guess that's what I would do. Start to like learn the network and work it in a, by the way, it's not, I think this is all like coming, I'm sorry to sound like so, like all these things are coming through me that, I don't really think about. Like I said, here's the thing. I don't ever think of networking as taking. Okay, hold on, it's coming to me. It's like, it's a spirit of generosity, right? So if I want to be connected to someone and I go to someone for that connection, I'm not necessarily asking them for something. I'm coming from a service mindset.
Okay.
And that service mindset could be something like, that person I have to have some kind of relationship and a credibility. So in some way I am serving that for the connector and then serving the person I'm connecting to. Right? Because they've got, does that make any sense?
So you moved to Australia, you went to a gala because you saw it in the paper.
Right.
You don't know anybody there.
I don't know anybody there.
Okay. You're standing at the brunch line with somebody in line.
Right.
Talking.
Right. So I might say, this might sound really silly, but I might say something like, here's a napkin because you didn't take one, or you'll need another. Like, okay, so like this is me building connection right away. Or don't eat the chicken nuggets. Or isn't it difficult to have peas if you're standing up with your plate? I don't know. I find it's a thing.
Okay.
I will find the connection.
Okay. In that moment.
Okay. Yeah.
So then that becomes your person. So do you go to coffee with them and lunch and you develop that relationship in a friend way? Or do you make sure that in that conversation they know you're a coach and this is what you do in the world?
Right.
So I have no shame in saying that.
I have no shame. Right. There is no shame, right? Because if I don't get to do my stuff, there are people who will go to their graves without ever realizing their dreams or living them, right?
Right. Totally.
Yeah. So, I follow up. I say, hey, I'd love to stay in touch.
Okay. And it froze a little. Come on, Zoom.
I value connection.
I got kicked off there. I don't know if you guys.
Okay.
Here, this worked.
You missed it all. We're done.
We're done. Okay.
This is what I just said was unapologetically like I value, like connection is a huge value for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Building community, like that, like that's what I did forever, whether I was in sales or in philanthropy. So like, yeah, that's a thing.
How much time do you spend doing that? So if you look at your professional life, what percentage of the pie is spent building relationships?
Yeah, I have on my calendar. If in theory, if we're working 40 hours in a week, I have a 3 to 4 hour chunk on my calendar every day called client creation.
Okay.
And that client creation might not even be creating clients. It could be like Googling the hell out of stuff. It could be looking for places where I can go. It could be studying what I call game film. So, like the game tape.
Yep.
And reviewing something like, there's an interview or there's something. And I want to find my angle with this person. Not that I want to figure them out. I want to find my angle and my in with this person.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when I'm not doing that, I'm finding how can I get to that person? Who knows that person? Who's in that industry? Who can help connect me to somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody?
Okay. So then how do you make that ask? So I know you and you know somebody, you know John, and John knows Barry, and I really want to know Barry.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So
how do I approach you? Yeah.
Okay. So here, I'll tell you, let's go the opposite way. Okay. I know you, Christina. Mm-hmm. You know Lisa, and you know Chrissy.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't know Lisa or Chrissy.
Okay.
But I want to. So here's how I do it. I first get together with you, like we know each other, right? So we can like do the stuff and talk about all the stuff. Mm-hmm. And I say, hey, I really want to get to Chrissy. And there's somebody between me and Chrissy, and it's Lisa.
Okay.
I'd love to get to know Lisa. So here's what I'd love to do, Christina, if you're open to it. I'm going to send you an email. I'm going to write it with all of the things that I want to say would add to Lisa's intrigue or interest for us to get together. But you're going to personalize it so that it sounds like it's all coming from you.
Okay.
So I'm going to put all the content.
Yeah.
You're going to have to change it. You're going to have to cut and paste and change it a little bit to my friend Karen. And like, I'll even write like what our relationship is, what we worked on together, something along those lines. Mm-hmm. And then you are going to send that to Lisa and CC me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. So you're writing the intro email for that person.
I'm writing it for you.
Making it as easy as possible.
As easy. They don't even have to think about it, right? Because we have that credibility, right? If we don't have that relationship and if we can't, if that's not a real connection, then you can say, you'll be like, not a chance, right? And I have no business asking for it.
Right.
But we do have it. So you then send the thing to Lisa. So Lisa and I get to know each other. Ideally, Lisa says, Karen Baker, I don't know who she is. Sounds like a little bit of a nutcase. Maybe, I don't know. All right, whatever. Let's get together. I'm CC'd, right? So it makes it really easy for her. And you would end your thing with something. By the way, Christina, you would end it with, you two need to meet. I would give you that content, clearly. Okay, at least I get together. Whatever my desire is around getting to Chrissy, I share that. Like, Lisa, this is what I do. This is who I am. These are the kinds of people I serve. And I give her a taste of what my coaching looks like. Mm-hmm. And I say, and I know that you know Chrissy. There is something in her that really calls to me, and I'm 100% authentic about that.
Mm-hmm. You're not hiding it. So that it doesn't feel like a bait and switch later.
I can't, right. Yeah. There's something that calls to me.
Great.
And I'd love your help. And she might say, it's too early. I can't do that. She's really private, not happening. And she might say, or she might say no, right? There's always that. Mm-hmm. I might try a little bit harder, but she's, Lisa, she's really a hard ass. So she's going to, so I might have to find somebody else, right? I might have to find another person in the network, or Lisa might say yes, in which case I do the same thing.
Right.
Like, I met with Karen, right? It wouldn't be like I've known her for 4 years. It would be, the same thing. Like, I met with Karen blah, blah, blah. There's something in there.
Right.
And that's how it goes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So here's the question. So I've had someone do that to me, right? I had somebody put me on an email, right? Hey, Christina, it was like an intro email. I just got it in my Gmail box, Christina introducing you to Jennifer, whatever, introduction, blah, blah, really cool people. And then it was like, it's like, Christina, this is Jennifer. I met her in a thing. She's super, super cool. I think you guys you should talk to each other. Jennifer, this is Christina, who I talked to you about at the whatever party, blah, blah, blah. Take it from here, right?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. Which actually super pissed me off. Because then I had to not be an asshole to this total stranger that I didn't have time to talk about, have no idea that I had like zero space in that time to talk to anyone. I couldn't even talk to my best friend, right? Whatever was going on.
Yeah.
To give another person half an hour or an hour or whatever out of nowhere who might be interested in Nexus or something. I don't know, like who they are.
Right.
But the person who sent that, a very close friend of mine, like we're like this, right? And it was like, so in my own practice, after experiencing that irritation with whoever this lady was, who, I mean, I gave her time, but it was really just literally got on the phone. I'm like, I don't know who you are. Why are we talking? Right. And then at my friend who, because we're so close, it didn't really matter. But if we weren't that close, it would have created a little bit of a spike. So when people want introductions from me to I always go first. Hey, Chrissy, are you interested in getting this connection to Karen or whatever? And then I send that. Here it sounds like we're skipping that step. Have you found any kind of repercussion from just these cold introductions where people are kind of put on the spot to have to connect with someone they're being introduced to? Or is it not really a big deal and that was a one-off?
Yeah, I think it's not really a big deal. It can be. I mean, like, I suppose you can make it a big deal. Yeah, I've not found it to be a big deal. And by the way, I didn't find it to be a big deal all through the time I was in fundraising and philanthropy.
Okay, so people are fine. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Super clunky when it happens. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Woo. Thank you. What else? Does anyone else on the call have? Oh, do you have something, Karen? Do you think would be helpful? Before we open it up.
Yeah, open it up. Go ahead.
So you guys, what do you guys have? Like what little flashes from your own experiences or questions or ideas or thoughts have you kind of gotten as you've been listening to us talk about the more nuts and bolts of this kind of connecting?
Yeah, Karen, I have
you
a
have
question.
Uh-huh.
I think I already know the answer, but so do you ever just go directly to someone that you want to connect with and just send an email and introduce yourself, or do you always?
Hold on. Can't quite hear you, so I'm going to mute Karen for a second with the coffee phone, and then okay, say that again.
Is that better?
It's a little better. It's soft, but better.
Okay. How about this? I'll yell.
Awesome. Great. Good.
Okay. So Karen, I might already know the answer to this, but I want to ask you anyway. Do you ever go ahead and just send an email to someone you don't know without working the channels?
Hold on.
I don't know the answer. Yes. Okay. You know I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. In fact, like my current obsession is Roxane Gay. Anybody follow Roxane Gay?
No.
Check. Okay. She's pretty edgy, really, really edgy. And she's really like this, she's sort of coming into her own. She's an incredible author. She teaches in New Haven right now, Christina. She's on a fellowship at Yale. And she wrote the book Bad Feminist. She's incredible. And there is something in her story that I'm just like, girl, we need each other. So I've been like trolling her on Twitter, and she actually answered my tweet. And here's what she said. It was so amazing. She said she had to create curriculum for her class. And she's like, I'm useless. I got nothing. But don't try to lift me up or something like that. And I said, I'm not going to try to motivate you. That's heavy lifting. You have everything you need. And she like wrote back with a heart. I was like, yeah.
What was the initial tweet you had? What was your first?
Oh, that was my first. That was my first to her. Wait, maybe I don't understand your question.
So you've been trolling her on Twitter, and then she responded back. So what were you doing on Twitter that she responded to?
No, I was responding to her Twitter.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Got
it. Yeah. I'm a little obsessed with her.
Cool.
Yeah. Yes. So I sent her an email, and it was just a picture of the quote. And actually, it was a quote that I think we said in the last video that we did together, and that's Brene Brown's quote about there's no prerequisites for worthiness.
Cool.
Yeah. I just sent her that picture. I haven't heard anything back, but I'm getting, I'm working it. I'm oiling the thing. The other thing was, I started to tell you last time about like my proposal to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like that was just me going right, other than I had credibility around my clients, but they weren't like, hey, hire Karen. That came afterward.
Okay.
It's like, hey, Pro Football Hall of Fame, I see you. I get you. I want to be the coach to the 2018 class of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And they're like,
how did you write that? How did you write that email? What was the vibe? Like what you just said there is kind of the underlying message.
Yeah, it kind of was
language.
It kind of was that. Yeah, it was. So it was a 5-line email, and the lines were this.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. It was. Fame is lonely. Elite sportsmen or elite athletes. Being an elite athlete can be even lonelier.
Mm-hmm.
Beneath the muscle is big hearts and bigger love.
Mm-hmm.
Something like kindness counts. It was like that simple. Let's talk. I got this. Like 3 days later, I got a call like, what? What does any of this even mean? And I said, hey, I'm Karen Baker. I work with retired NFL players. I'd love the opportunity to have a conversation about the 2018. By the way, at that time, we didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
So people didn't matter, right? They're like, well, you don't even know who the people are. How are you going to coach them? I said, that part doesn't matter, right? Like, it's all about ways of being. So.
So you didn't put in that first email under your email signature something, these are my clients, I coach, da-da-da-da. You just left it at that.
I did not. And I thought like, this is kind of, this is just kind of intriguing and weird. Let's see what happens.
So, okay. So this is what I'm getting from you is a lot of permission to be fun,
yes,
fanciful, provocative, turned on, out of left field, really speaking from the heart, like that really allows for that.
That looks proposally, I can't do it.
Yeah. Formal language, fuck that.
Yeah. Might have to happen later, like with their legal team and their COO, we'll have to sit down and that didn't happen. But yeah.
And the initial approach
is going to be fun. It's going to be who I'll show up as.
Right.
Yeah.
So finding our own way of being that.
Right.
So it's kind of like thinking about where else in my life am I that person? The most, that version of me. I'm like that with my boyfriend, or I'm like that with this girlfriend, or I'm like that. Like I feel the most confident and most cocky in a fun way and in leadership with this group of people. And then voice in to these.
Yeah.
Cool. Love it.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question? or a thought or a comment? No? Awesome. Well, thank you. This is wonderful. I'm so glad this is being recorded.
Yeah, right.
The nuts and bolts, right? These little details that just, we know the concept of it, but then how to get it out of our fingertips onto an actual email.
Right. And just one, I don't know why I feel like I need a disclaimer. Sorry for my location, because I think it kind of held me back. So I just want to put that out there, that if anyone wants a conversation really in more about the creative bold, like I'm being kind of quiet because there are people around me and it's noisy.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know that you're getting that. I don't know that I'm showing up as all of the story. Yeah. So just putting that out there.
Well, thank you for that invitation.
Yeah.
And so how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah. So I don't have a website because I'm a sucky cook. No. I have built a business without a website. It is the truth. Here's how they can get a hold of me. With my email.
Okay.
Is you want me to put it in the comments?
Yeah. So when I post the recording, you could put it.
Okay.
Yeah. Not right now.
Okay. Yeah. I'll do it then. I'll put it right. I'll put it in the comments then. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And
say it out loud now, though, for people.
Okay. It's kbakercleve@gmail. Really exciting.
Baker Cleve, CLEVE @gmail.
Cleveland, because I live in Cleveland. So like, yeah, we could have much more fun in a conversation that we had at this Starbucks under this light where I'm like sweating.
The lights. Also, people can PM you, right? Through Facebook.
People can PM me. Yeah. Yes. I think maybe Erin, are we friends on Facebook? Well, we ought to be, because we rhyme. Erin Baker.
Definitely fix that.
We got to fix that. Erin Baker and Karen Baker are a powerhouse.
That's right.
I also am in Ohio right now.
Where?
I'm in Tiffin.
I know where that is.
Yep, and I'm moving to Ann Arbor. Crossing my fingers the house inspection goes well tomorrow. So
nice.
Yeah.
Go you. Okay, cool.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay.
Great to see you.
Okay, you too.
Go connect, everybody.
Bye, ballers. See ya.